Yo, what's going on, guys? The Kitty G on EGTV. How you guys doing? We just beat Watford 1-0, but that's not what I'm talking about today. I'm going to be talking about the interview Josh Kroenke had with Sky Sports. Yes, we're going to be getting into the interview with Josh Kroenke. And just before I go any further, I will be I'll be showing you. I won't be showing you guys the footage, but we'll be going through the audio of the actual situation. So if you guys could do me a favor, if you're watching on the playback or you're watching live, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's get the show started. So, what we're going to be talking about today is Josh Kroenke. We're going to be talking about Josh Kroenke and everything that he said in this interview and everything going on in this interview. So let's get this going. Let's get this started now. So the interview starts off. You have to know that the interview is being taken by Geoff Shreeves, and this interview he's going to be talking about Daniel Ike's bid. He's going to be talking about a couple things, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be playing the interview, and I'm going to be stopping it here and there depending on what I want to add into my reaction. So this is just my reaction to the interview. I haven't fully listened to the entire interview, so we're going to watch that together. And thank you anyone who's watching, and get yourselves ready for this. This is going to be an interesting interview. Personally, I think this interview might have a lot of groundbreaking stuff, and actually not much groundbreaking stuff, but it just shows that Josh Kroenke is a lot more involved in the club this season. He's been showing face a lot more, and a little bit of pressure can make some changes. I don't know how much it is, but maybe it's a little progress, them facing the music. The questions being asked, though, I want to see how hard they are. I want to see how tough or difficult these questions actually are. And let's get this show started. So Josh Kroenke is at the table, and they start by talking about, let's see what they start talking about. Josh Kroenke is first being asked.
You referenced the 9 matches of unbeaten that we're currently on, but I think it actually started before that. When I was here in August, and I'd obviously seen the fixture list come out for the season, I knew those first 3 matches were going to be very difficult. First match away at a ground that was going to be very, let's say, electric for a lot of reasons. Coming out of COVID, first time in the Premier League, and then to get hit with the squad having been decimated by COVID itself was always going to be a tough scenario. Then to play that into the next 2 matches of Chelsea and then at City, Champions League finalists, was always going to be a difficult run. But the group stayed together. You could feel it behind the scenes. They were never fractured. They were never fragmented. And I think that served us well in where we are right now, because it really.
Okay. So first thing, he's talking about the situation this season where we lost the first 3 games and how we have kind of rebutted and come back and started facing the music. So it's good to hear that behind the scenes things have been great the whole time, and the team and everyone supported the manager. That's great to hear, at least.
Really brought the group together and didn't fracture us in any way.
Obviously, it's early days, but do you feel vindicated in the business you did in the summer and the change in profile of players that you're signing?
I wouldn't say vindicated by any means. I would say that I'm more driven to keep pushing forward.
Nice answer. Basically saying he's not vindicated. He doesn't feel like he needs vindication. He's more pushing forward to the future to see what we can get now. That's pretty interesting. I like that take. Let's continue to hear what he says.
I think that whenever you start to taste a little bit of progress or success, even though I don't think we've had any success yet, but we are starting to feel a little bit of the progress that's been made behind the scenes, it only drives you even harder. I feel that from Mikel around the training ground. I feel that around the first team squad, and I also feel it throughout the rest of the club. We've been around. I've met with our commercial side. I've met with the football side, and I'm even all the way over to the women's side of the equation. FA Cup finalists, got a huge match coming up next month against Barcelona in the Champions League, and I think as a club, we're all pulling for each other, and we're all pulling in the same direction.
Focusing on the men.
Wow. So he's even focused on that team. That's pretty interesting. That's very interesting. He's focused on the women's team, men's team. He's focused on all of Arsenal, and he wants the team to progress. So let's continue to hear what he's saying. Focusing on the men's team now.
First team. What was behind a real change in policy? You've gone from previous campaign 6th highest net spenders to the highest, in fact, the highest net spenders in Europe. What was behind that?
There's a lot of answers to that question, but I think that from a collective ambition from my father to myself, to the board, to Mikel, to Edu, and on down to the rest of the football operations staff, we had a clear idea of what we needed to do with the squad. And there were a lot of areas that needed to be addressed. Were we going to be able to address them all in one window? I don't think we did or were able to do, but we made a lot of progress in certain areas. We have a young manager who's improving.
He's not answering the question. He's kind of avoiding the question, kind of walking around the question. But let's continue.
Every match, I think he says that himself privately. And I think we have a squad that is really designed around his strengths, and they can all be in a position to grow together, challenge each other daily. And when times are tough, put their arms around each other, knowing that they're going to be back the following day in the foxhole, so to speak, competing with each other's best interests at heart.
Okay, so still didn't answer the question really. He's not really giving much away, keeping everything to the chest very close. But yeah, he does mention the fact that the manager and the players being of a young profile and everything else. But honestly, it doesn't really give us too much insight on if he's going to continue with this procedure. And the reason why they changed just seems to be because the other one wasn't working. I'm not sure if he's going to say that in an interview though.
Let's be honest. Did you and the rest of the board, 2 8th consecutive finishes in the Premier League, 5 years since you finished in the top 4, and a large number of the fans in open revolt about KSE ownership, did you think, this is crisis, we've got to do something about this?
Good question. This is a crisis. They should do something about it, but you should have just been more straightforward. Did you want to sell the club?
I wouldn't say crisis, but I would say that we needed to redefine our strategy. When you qualify for the Champions League as many years in a row as we did, it becomes expected. And to move out of those positions was very challenging, I guess, on and off the pitch.
Was it unacceptable?
I believe so, yes. As a club, when you set standards and led by Arsene
maintain those standards. Thank you.
Wenger, those standards are very high, and we have a lot of expectations to live up to amongst our supporter and our fan base as a whole around the globe. And I think that we had to take a step back, truly understand where we were as a club, and map out a multi-year process to get back there. There were some quick fixes that we tried along the way involving, breaking transfer records, trying to fill positions of need. But when you really examine the squad and the club from top to bottom, we had to redefine our culture, redefine our strategy, and we had to get younger on the pitch. And I think from Hale End to some of the players that we've brought in, you're starting to see some of those players come through. You're starting to see their quality shine. And we have great leadership at a senior level amongst the squad where the senior players are really embracing the younger players. And I think that mixture is really providing some of the excitement that you see on the pitch today.
Once again, he doesn't really answer the question. He just says it's unacceptable, yes, but he was kind of backed into a corner to say that, and then gave us a lot of open-ended hoopla. But yeah, still not satisfied really with any of the answers coming out of this interview. So
as you say, it's early days and you're not celebrating, you haven't won anything yet. Do Arsenal supporters, you referenced the Wenger years, the glory years, the trophy winning years, should they actually recalibrate their expectations when you're now competing alongside clubs with different models, Chelsea, Manchester City, and perhaps Newcastle United as well now, where they have vastly superior funds to you?
Absolutely.
This is going to be interesting. I want to see how he responds to the fact that these other clubs have more funds than us. What is he going to say to circumvent the disadvantage that we have financially? How is he going to compete with these clubs? Is he going to continue with the self-sustaining model? Is he going to rip that up and continue to spend heavy? I want to know.
Absolutely not. I think that Arsenal fans should expect the best. That's what they've expected throughout their history, and that shouldn't change at all. Did we have to rethink how we were going to go about achieving those goals? Absolutely. And I think that this summer really played out. We weren't breaking any transfer records, but the net spend was obviously very high. We had many areas we needed to address on the pitch. Those were addressed with players of certain quality at a certain age. And I think that the thing that gets left out quite a bit is we needed to change a few mentalities around here. We needed to get mentally stronger. And I think that from the new signings to the kids that are coming through at Hale End, to again focus on the senior players that are setting the tone in the dressing room on a daily basis. That mentality is to go out and compete and leave it all on the pitch. And I think that is a quality that can make our fans proud, win, lose, or draw. Interesting.
So I like that response. I like that response there. He answered the question. He spoke about it. He didn't hide behind it. He said they can't compete with Man City and Chelsea when it comes to financially, but the fans should still expect the best. The fans should still expect us to win. The fans should still expect us to get major honors. And it's good that Josh is even doing an interview, right? Yo, big up to TPG in the house saying, yeah, Liverpool are currently losing 3-1. Yeah, big up. How are you? Sup? I'm good. They're smashing them. Yeah, the Hammers are definitely laying it down onto Liverpool right now. Hopefully we can do the same in a week's time. But yeah, let's get back to the Josh interview.
Are you convinced that the clubs I mentioned, obviously not Newcastle United in their current position in the Premier League, but the current top 3 or 4 haven't gotten away from Arsenal?
I think that they're in a much stronger position than we are right
100% agree with him. They are in a much stronger position than us. But how are you going to circumvent that?
now, because they've had a chance, especially over the last several years, to really build their squads to a different place. Our strategy has changed drastically. I think that, now that the summer has settled and the players are on the pitch, we're closing the gap slowly but surely. They have lots of resources, obviously, as you referenced. We have resources as well. And as long as we're using those resources smart, appropriately, and intelligently, I think that 1 + 1 eventually will add up to 3.
Okay. We got a comment from the comment section saying, Josh talks about standards. Why is a rookie in charge? Otherwise, we would have a better class manager. There's none other standard PR to tranquilate our fan base, telling you what you want to hear. So you think he's just telling us what we want to hear? That is interesting. A lot of people are saying that. I also have some other comments here where people were saying in the comment section of the original video, this guy is doing interviews when we're unbeaten. Arsenal fans, it's a media train. They're trying to go everywhere. They're trying to get you. This is PR. Don't listen to them. The only way you're allowed to be left alone is if we win the Champions League or the league. The interviewer has not been actually putting too much pressure on Josh and not asking him the right questions, to be fair. So that's what some people are saying. Some people are saying that, right? 3-2, who scored? Origi. Ooh, interesting. This Liverpool West Ham game is crazy. But yeah, let's continue the interview.
You reference the fans. In an already, you would have to admit, fairly cool relationship between Kroenke Sports Entertainment and the Arsenal fans. Was the European Super League the very nadir, the lowest point in relations between the two?
Possibly. But, I
can't think of anything worse.
No,
that must have been the bottom.
I wouldn't disagree with you. I'll say it that way. But as someone that always tries to find the positives in things, when you're at the bottom, there's only one way to go, and that's back up. And, I said this to our fan advisory board that we met with last night. I don't want a 48-hour period to define us. We were presented with an opportunity. We asked ourselves a question, which was, what was worse, a Super League or a Super League without Arsenal? And we answered that question, that we should be included in that. Were we wrong? Obviously. We listened to our fans. We made a quick pivot, removed ourselves from the situation. We apologized, and now we move forward. And some of the dialogue that I've had with some of the supporter groups has been as clear as crystal. And I couldn't be more excited to be communicating with them on the level that I am, because I understand who they are, and now they're understanding who I am. And I think the more we understand each other, it's exciting, because the only thing that we want is for Arsenal Football Club to be great.
Do you think that is one of the things you've got wrong in the KSC have been involved in Arsenal for over a decade, and it's 3 years now since you've had sole ownership. Do you think that's one of the things you have got wrong in the past, is the lack of communication, the lack of engagement with fans, and that has led to some of that dissatisfaction?
Perhaps. I really only focus on 2018 until now, because that's when I feel like we've truly controlled and owned the club, which we have. Since then, we've...
Stop! You cannot say you only started to own the club after 2018 because you had majority ownership prior to that. You had majority of the rights. These guys, man, these guys, what are they doing to me? Why are they lying to us? Why are they lying to us? Why are they lying to us? Come on. Come on. Come on. Stop lying. You know you had ownership prior to 2018. You were in this, the Kroenke's ownership of Arsenal. Just so everyone knows, the Kroenke's ownership of Arsenal was way prior to 2018. 2018, they got majority ownership, but their ownership of Arsenal started way, way, way before that. They first got their first piece of ownership. I think it was like 10% ownership or something like that. Was like in 2007, they got their first piece of Arsenal, and then they chipped away and they kept getting more and more and more. They kept getting more and more and more until they got full ownership of Arsenal. So if I'm mistaken, 2007 they got 9% of Arsenal, right? Then they got another 30%. The next when was that? In 2009 they got 30%. 2012 they got another 20 something percent. So they were up to like 50 something percent at that point. Right. And once Usmanov sold to them, they were able to swallow up the rest of the stuff. And since 2011, I think they had about 66% of shares since 2011. So they were majority ownership way before that. So to give yourself the right to say, oh, stop it. But yeah, let's continue. Let's just hear what he's going to say.
Been aggressive with pretty much everything that we've done in sole ownership. Capital improvements to the training ground, breaking transfer records in the squad, refinancing the stadium debt, and also doing this during a time when half of the 3 years that we've fully owned the club has been during a global pandemic, when revenues have been down all over the football world. So I think that from a fan engagement standpoint, I was already starting on those goals prior to the pandemic. And obviously, whenever you get hit with something that's as unexpected as the situation that we have been through as a world as a whole, it required my thoughts to be elsewhere. But coming out of the pandemic, that's a major focus of mine, and it's a major focus of the Arsenal, is to get back in touch with our supporters, understand what they want, not only on the pitch, because we all want the same thing, that's to win trophies, but what makes them proud off the pitch. What else can we be doing in the community? Are there other areas that they think that we can help make them proud? Because some of the situations, obviously, you want to win the match on the weekend so you can brag to your friends in the canteen on a Monday. But there are other situations that make the club just as proud. And that's really what keeps me going, too, because Mikel, Edu.
I'm sorry, guys, everybody watching. What makes you more proud? When your team is winning on the pitch, or the other things that he's talking about? No, I'm sorry. If you want to make me proud as a fan, go win games. Right now we're on a winning streak. I'm happy. If we start losing, I'm going to be upset. And if you start telling me, oh, everything else on the off the pitch looks amazing. No, I don't care about the rest of the stuff off the pitch. If we're on the pitch and we're playing like shit, I don't care about the rest of the stuff off the pitch. When we're playing good, and the rest of the stuff off the pitch, that's when we start looking at it. You want to know what's off the pitch that we want to look at? Look at the stadium. Look at the stadium. You look at the Arsenal logo on the stadium, it's chipped up. The paint job hasn't even been done for a couple of years. Go do that. If you want to talk about stuff to do off the pitch, that's what we care about. Other than winning, who cares about all the other shit? Right? Let's not lie to ourselves.
and everyone else is going to run the football side, but there's a massive side that's involved in the community and the foundation.
The community, the foundations, this, that. Listen, if you really cared about the Arsenal community around everything around the Emirates, you wouldn't have the most expensive tickets in Europe. Stop it. Stop it. Stop lying to us. Yo, continue. Continue.
And as a club, that's what we continue to push forward towards, and make our fans proud on and off the pitch.
Picking up on a couple of things you said there.
Iga, I have a question to you and the panel. Why Arsenal fans don't protest against the Kroenkes like they did against getting out Arsene Wenger? You want to know something? A lot of people were against protesting against Arsene Wenger. A lot of people were against protesting anything to do with the club at all. And you want to know something? A large portion of our fan base are that go to games and everything else are not fans that are interested in going out there and causing havoc or protesting or everything else. Majority of the match-going fans, it's a night out for them. It's a night out in London to sit in front of the carpet and watch the team play. That's what it is. And they're not as invested to go out and protest. And unless there's a leader, unless there's somebody, a figurehead, who's going to gather the troops and put them together to go out and do it, no one's going to do it. Arsene Wenger, there was a lot of people who were figureheading and organizing it, but they're not going to organize protests. They're not going to organize these events. The only reason why the protests against Kroenkes happened that first time was because of the Super League.
First of all, going back to the Super League, when you spoke afterwards, you stopped short of saying that we will never engage in dialogue if European football is going to be discussed again. But would you say here and now, yes, potentially we could be involved in dialogue. However, we would never again make such seismic decisions without consulting our fans?
Absolutely. We had, I mentioned it briefly a second ago, our first fan advisory board last night, where we had elected representatives from several supporter groups around the table. And I think that we would be naive and stupid to do that again without consulting our fans. And they referenced certain things last night. We all referenced certain things last night of how the situation evolved. But as I said, I don't want a 48-hour period to define us. And I really look forward to engaging with those supporters both now and in the future, so they understand who we are and what we're trying to accomplish, so we can all accomplish it together.
To be honest, Josh, I don't think it was a 48-hour period that would define you. It was on the back of or during years of decline under.
Thank you. We are not mad at the Kroenkes because of Super League only. We're mad at the Kroenkes because we've never won a Premier League underneath the Kroenkes. We have never won a Premier League under the Kroenkes. We have never won anything bar the FA Cup under the Kroenkes. Since 2007, we have not done anything to establish ourselves as a Premier League elite. Let's be real. FA Cups are great. I love FA Cups. Don't get me wrong. Some of my best recent memories are FA Cup wins. We've won 4 FA Cups in their stewardship. But those are cup competitions. They're not the Champions League. They're not European competitions. They're the FA Cup. FA Cup, League Cup are a little bit step below. If we would have won the league in the year when Leicester played, we can give them some credit. If we would have won the Champions League, we can give them some credit. If we were still in the Champions League and fighting in and amongst the top 4 consistently, we might have even given them a break. But the fact that we have declined to this level, just shows you sometimes they don't get it.
The KSC stewardship. So I think that's why I said it's at the very bottom. So you're coming from a long way back. One of the things that the supporters want, which may well be included in Tracy Crouch's fan-led review, which we get results in a few weeks' time as well, is the possibility of fan representation on the board.
They're not going to give fan representation on the board. What they're going to do is they're going to have fan advisory boards, and that's going to be the equivalence to what we want. And that's going to, and to be fair, I don't know what you guys think, but do the fans that they handpicked, do you think these guys represent you as a fan base? Do you think this is an even representation of our fan base? Let's be honest. Does this look like an even representation of our fan base? Because he's going to mention this.
Or the so-called golden share. Is that something that you would engage in or be an advocate of?
It's hard for me to comment on Tracy Crouch's review without seeing the final version of it.
Well, she published an interim where it was indicated that may well be in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's something that the Arsenal Supporters Trust want as well.
The only way I can answer that question is it's difficult for me to comment on it without knowing how everything will wind up. If there's independent regulators and they come in and they offer up certain suggestions for how clubs should be run, we'll obviously embrace them and work with them. But until that point in time, it's difficult to say.
In terms of the other interested parties, as you're well aware, can you bring us up to speed on Daniel Ek in particular? Have bids been made, and is there current dialogue?
He's going to mention Daniel Ek in the ownership situation. Let's find out what's going on. Yeah, so West Ham just lost. West Ham just beat Liverpool. Interesting. Anyways, what is going to happen here? Let's find out. He's going to mention Daniel Ek. Let's see what he has to say about Daniel Ek. Interesting moment here. What do you think he's gonna say about Daniel Ek? Because I'm pretty sure he's gonna say, "Oh, we're not selling. We're not going nowhere." That's probably what he's going to say. Let's be honest. He's not gonna sell. And even if he was gonna sell, do you think he's gonna tell us? Come on, let's use our brains here. Even if he was gonna sell, even if their dad was gonna sell, they would not tell us. They're gonna keep it close to their chest. They're gonna keep it close to their chest and say, "Yo, they're not gonna sell." But here's his comments on Daniel Ek. Let's hear what he has to say about Daniel Ek. Let's hear what he has to say about Daniel Ek and Spotify. Josh's words on Daniel Ek.
We get bids for the club all the time from many different parties around the world, and that speaks to the strength of the Arsenal. I mean, it's a wonderful institution. Arsenal Football Club is a global brand, and my only response to anything really is the club is not for sale. We're just getting started.
Thierry Henry, who obviously is associated with that bid, said,
the club is not for sale. We're just getting started. Interesting. He keeps saying these things, but the club's not for sale. Clearly, the club's not for sale. Let's continue.
We are not going away. What's your response?
I don't really have a response other than to say simply the club is not for sale. We're just getting started. We've only really owned the club since 2018. We have a young manager, we have a young squad, and we're just charting our path for the future. In the United States, we have a certain model, and we're implementing that here. And we have over the last 3 years, which is young players, talented players with the right mentality. Let them grow together.
I'm not going to lie. I like the sound of that. Young players, talented players with the right mentality. I like the sound of that. But let's wait and see.
Continuing to sprinkle in talent throughout the squad, and eventually it grows into something that's very special. The power of continuity behind the scenes and people working together and pulling in the same direction, I think, is an underrated aspect of pro sports. And I think that with the power of continuity and allowing this group to grow together, special times are ahead for the club.
So he's basically saying, give it time with continuity. Give it time. Okay. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Talks about the West Ham, Liverpool are bummed. Give up with this EK talk. It's embarrassing. Yeah, EK is not coming. I know. EK is worth $3 billion. That's 1 penny to the Kroenkes. Yep. Big up Aslan in the chat. Relax yourself, fucking hell. I fully agree. We deserve see our team win the league again. Yeah, I get it's difficult to protest against the owners, but I hope one day the Kroenkes will sell Arsenal, because I don't think with the Kroenkes we will win the Premier League in the future. Interesting. Okay, so let's continue with this part. We're now about 14 minutes and 30 seconds into the interview.
Say that you have a similar model elsewhere. Obviously, you have interest in other sports as well. How does Arsenal compare? And what you can obviously take some parts from a business and transfer it. How is it similar and how is it different to other sports that you're involved in?
You know, I mean, there's lots of similarities and there's lots of differences. I say it's like it's fruit to fruit. It's apples to watermelons, and there's no brand and there's no club and there's no exposure.
He couldn't even get the analogy right. It's apples and oranges, but he said apples and watermelons. Yeah, Josh Kroenke's got jokes, you know. Yeah, Josh got jokes. Yeah, Josh is funny. Yeah, Josh is funny, man. Man said, yeah, this guy's funny. This guy's funny. Man said apples and watermelon. Yeah, respond to my thanks. Thank you, Igal, for responding to my question. No worries, no worries. Big up to you. You're all the way in France watching. Appreciate it, man. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue with Josh. What is he saying now?
Anywhere in our businesses like Arsenal Football Club. It's a global brand. It's consumed by fans all over the world, every continent, in every space. You see it popping up on social media. And I think that when you try to compare certain things, like I said, it's fruit to fruit, but the leagues are different, the sports are different, but a lot of the business is the same. And you're trying to drive revenues, you're trying to please fans, and you're trying to win games. And how do you do that? Every sport is slightly different, but there are lessons that you can apply and different psychologies that you can apply across your organizations to try to create that continuity that we've talked about.
Good start is winning trophies, isn't it?
It is, without a doubt. You're only as good as your last match. And
is it? So, okay.
You know, having a little bit of silverware behind you never hurts.
How much?
Do you see how he's trying to play it down? I think he's smart. I think he's smart. I think he might be a psychological.
Of a fan are you? Be honest. And look, let's be honest. You were a basketball player as a young man, and that was your sport. Did you play football?
I did.
What position were you?
I was a right winger.
Any good?
I was good enough to be I think I was the second leading scorer, but only because our left winger was our best player. And being tall, I was usually on the back post heading in most of his crosses. So it worked out fairly well for me.
Interesting. Did you guys know Josh Kroenke actually played football? I did not know that. That's interesting.
If you were to describe yourself or compare yourself to a player, who would it be? It doesn't have to be current. Who did you model your game on?
Who did I model my game on? I wouldn't even know where to compare. As you said, I was a basketball player. And so focusing on basketball when I was 15, 16 years old.
Yeah, man compared his game to Peter Crouch. Yeah, man compared his game to Peter Crouch. Yeah, Josh Kroenke compared his game to Peter Crouch.
But I don't know. I'd have to really think about that. Who I would have modeled.
Who are you similar to as a player?
Who was I similar to? I mean, I was tall and skinny. So
Peter Crouch wasn't really a winger.
Yeah, so I was.
Yeah. I said Peter Crouch.
I was like, I don't know if I want to say that.
If you were back post.
I was on the back post. I did score a lot of goals in my head. So let me think. I mean, gosh, I've never been asked that question before, so it's hard to think through that one.
You can come back to
me on that.
You
Yo, Josh Kroenke modeled his football game to Peter Crouch. Yo, that's funny. That's funny. Yo, that's funny. That's funny. That is actually funny. Josh Kroenke Model this football game to Peter Crouch. Literally just heading him headers from the back post. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I get it. I get it. I get it. But I'm surprised someone can even cross over there. But yeah, definitely model this game to Peter Crouch. Definitely model this game to Peter Crouch. Let's continue. What is he saying?
Focus on the 3 years you've been in sole charge.
I will say this. As I continued to grow and mature, I probably would have turned into more of an aggressive central defender, knowing how my personality was, as opposed to a winger.
Oh, so you turned into Mertesacker.
I probably would have been more of a per Mertesacker than I would have been up front of it and being any sort of Thierry Henry.
Best moment since you've been at the club? And
come to boarding to see Mikel win the FA Cup during the COVID times. I wasn't physically able to be here because of all of the COVID protocols at the time, but any kind of silverware that you win along the way, whether it was an FA Cup under Arsene, a Community Shield, or the FA.
What's it like for you to hear the boos in the stadium, see the banners Kroenke out, and the hashtags Kroenke out?
Doesn't feel good. But
of course,
I've been through a lot as a young man. I was, as you said, I was a basketball player. You hear lots of things being out there on the court.
By the way, just so you guys know, he was a basketball player. He was a D1 basketball player. Josh Kroenke did play in D1, right? Josh Kroenke, by the way, in basketball was not the best player. He was you couldn't even say he was one of the best players. Josh Kroenke's basketball career was very, very short. He played D1. He scored what? Maybe like 4 points a game, average 4 points a game. Let's check his statistics. His career season high was 3.5 points per game. By the way, 1.3 per game. That's what his career average was. He averaged 2.6 points per game, right? He averaged total of 1.3 rebounds per game, averaged total 0.9 assists per game. Josh Kroenke keeps claiming to be a basketball player. Well, he wasn't a really good one, I'll tell you that. I never made it to D1, but I can tell you right now, 3 points a game, that's terrible. Terrible. Yo, you want to see his statistics? Yo, let me show you. This is Josh Kroenke. Josh Kroenke, right? Josh Kroenke, 6'4". This is his career stats in basketball. Averaged 1.3 rebounds per game total. Averaged 0.9 assists. Averaged 2.6 points per game. Man started a total. He started in his career a total of only 16 games. Right? He played 122 games, only started 16 games. You could tell he was not the best player. And in his senior year, too, he still was riding bench. Man said, I'm a basketball player. Not a basketball player, bro. Not a basketball player. Not a basketball player. You're just a guy who's tall who ended up getting to college basketball. Like, let's be honest. Let's continue.
Especially coming from.
Do you think it helps the fact you're an ex-sportsman yourself?
Potentially.
You're not an ex-sportsman. You're just not. You never played at any professional level.
My dad and I joke that we have to wear a rhinoceros hide at times, and that's the case at points in time with Arsenal.
What? You have to wear rhinoceros hide? What kind of references is this guy making? Is he 50? Oh my days.
As with our other clubs in the United States as well. I mean, the best and sometimes worst part about professional sports is the passion behind the scenes, and that goes both ways. You have to have that passion because you want
you and the rest of the board to drive this club forward. How much do you feel that you'll be able to turn around in 2-3 years' time and say, yeah, we delivered?
Growing more confident by the day, but
guys, what is he talking about? Just
there's a lot of work ahead.
Okay,
even
that's
though
fair.
we're starting to show signs of progress.
Yeah, maybe.
If you don't keep pushing forward, you'll stagnate.
100%.
And I think that's a big focus of ours right now is what are our next steps? Do we feel good about where we are? We feel better about where we are. We don't feel good. Our fans still deserve more. We need to get back in the top four. We need to start qualifying.
Yeah, that's funny. Why are you comparing him to Ted Lasso? Yeah, you're funny. You're funny.
For the Champions League regularly. And with that Champions League qualification, once we're in the conversation for the Premier League, I think that's when interesting things will really start to happen elsewhere as well.
Zoho Desk brings you real-time collaboration.
Interesting. He's talking about possibly winning the league, you know. I'm not going to lie to you. He's saying some of the things that I want to hear. He's telling me everything I want to hear as a fan. The question is, I want to see it before I can believe it. Josh Kroenke's interview is honestly a lot of things that I want to hear as a fan. Honestly, Josh's interview, he says a lot of things that fans wanted to hear, and he gives a lot of good answers. But I still need to see it to believe him. That's just how I think. Do you guys agree? Let me know in the chat. Do you guys agree? That's just how I think things need to be. If you're going to do stuff, you need to show me. You need to show me what you're about. I get all this stuff. Josh is this, Josh is that, but I need to see it. I need to see it before I believe it. Like, Josh's interview is so far, it's nothing groundbreaking. Very honest, very humble. He's done a good job.
Important is it, and is it having learned from mistakes that you've made, that in this journey now, you get the fans on board who will not easily be bought with PR sound bites or what they perceive as hollow gestures, that you get them to believe in your stewardship and that you are taking this club to the right place?
I think the only way to win any kind of skeptics over is with time and effort. Hopefully, as I said, they're starting to see the direction on the pitch. But there's many other places I want to make them proud as well. It starts with the men's first team, but we have our women's, we have our U23s, we have our academy, and there's so much that goes on behind the scenes at the Arsenal that I want to make sure we're addressing everything in addition to trying to compete for the biggest trophies in Europe. There was a recent story.
Yo, Josh is saying he wants to compete with all the major teams in Europe for major honors. I'm not going to lie. I personally think if Josh can get us to winning a Premier League or a league, I will forgive the Kroenkes. But until then, I need to see them back themselves and put us in a situation where we can win. I will never forgive the Kroenkes until they win us a league title or a Champions League. That's my personal opinion. That's just how I think. Because I feel like they have sacrificed our good teams. They've sacrificed teams that could have won stuff earlier. They have put us in situations. They've put us in situations where we could have won stuff so much sooner. It's Kroenke out until we win a league or until a league title or a Champions League title. That's my opinion. That's just my opinion. So until one of those two things happens, it's Kroenke out. I will never forgive the Kroenkes until we win a league title or a Champions League. And I think most of you guys agree. That's fair, right? Is that not fair? Win a league title or a Champions League title and then I'll forgive them? That's just how I think. Anyways, continue.
Story that ran, I saw it come across my Twitter feed, involving a young fan that came to the Emirates for the first time with autism. He became overwhelmed, tried to leave, And fortunately, as a club, we have wonderful people working game nights that saw the situation unfold, asked a question, and were able to turn a negative into an immense positive thing. And hopefully that's something that Arsenal fans can get behind as a whole, because even though it wasn't directly what was happening on the pitch, it's something that can make them incredibly proud to be a part of the Arsenal Football Club. I
saw that story, and it was a fantastic story. But I have to say, as a club owner, you're either very brave or foolish reading Twitter.
As I said, I scroll. I don't read much. I skim the headlines to understand what the narratives are out there, but I don't really read anything. I think if I start to read too much, my judgment can be affected by people who might not have our best interests at heart. And so I understand what certain narratives are out there, but I keep my head down, keep my ears closed, and just try to keep plowing forward.
Is that hard, though?
Okay, so that's it for now. I'm going to come back 8 p.m. for the match reaction. But overall, my analysis of the interview is Josh just said a lot of PR stuff. He actually gave us some decent answers, and he gave us some insight in his thought process. And as a person, I'll give him credit. We still haven't seen his silence stand, but give Josh credit. He is doing a decent job in trying to be front and center, and he's doing the whole media spin, everything right now. I have to see it to believe it. I have to see all the evidence in front of my face before I will back him fully. But at the moment, he has the team playing well. He has things going well. Man did call us legacy fans, so that is a black mark on his legacy as an owner. But we'll continue to see where things go. I'm never going to forgive the Kroenkes until we win a league or a Champions League. But at the moment, as a unbiased, I'm going to be as balanced as possible. I genuinely believe Josh Kroenke has the best interest in heart for the club. His dad, on the other hand, though, still question marks. And when it comes to the investment and everything else, we need to see if it will be maintained. For now, this has been my reaction to the interview. You guys have yourselves a wonderful day. I'm out of here. And I'll be back at 8 o'clock doing my match reaction and match reaction and player ratings with the guys. So everyone come join us then. Have yourselves a wonderful day. And I'm out of here. Peace. What's going on, everybody? I need you guys to go check out my channel and subscribe if you're new. And don't forget to subscribe, hit that button, and hit that notification bell while you're at it, ladies and gentlemen. EGTV, you already know. And if you're on your phone, it's even